Hi everyone. Let's talk about capital structure right now. This is the most important topic in financial management, as we all know. So, some of the topics that we will going to cover, points to be covered in this session. Meaning of capital structure, then features of capital structure, sources of capital structure, like from where we can take the capital and which capital will be very cost effective to our organization. So all these points we will going to cover in this. So now let's take the meaning of capital structure. The first point, capital structure is the composition a company forms or makes the capitalization by including all the long term sources. What does it mean? It says that when company needs fund, they used to arrange capital from different sources, and these sources must contain cost effective as per the budget of the company and makes all the decisions that could appreciate the profitability concern of the business and lessen the burden of the cost. So that is the most important way we can set our capital structure, or that makes us the optimum capital structure of the company. So from this point of view, we can say that capital structure is the composition, that the mixing of different like equity, we are taking capital from our debts like debentures, we had borrowed from the banks, we had borrowed from short term loans, from the long term loans, from debentures, all these things, like we had made reserves, we had taken our retained earnings. So all these points is to be covered under capital structure. So this definition is given by Gerstenberg, a very well known author for finance management. Let's go further. As it was mentioned here, that this is also known as capital mix. Why this is capital mix? Because in our capital there includes more than one composition of capital. Let's say I need 100 rupees of capital, so I'll going to mix in it some equity and some debt. What I want to say is that when I mix debt in our capital structure with the equity, so there is a mix. Either I can take debt, or either I can take my retained earnings, so again there is a mix of capital, or I can mix all the sources as it was mentioned above: equity, debentures, bonds, loans, reserves, and retained earnings. All these sources makes a perfect capital mix for the organization. So that's why we says it the capital mix or the capital composition into our business structure. So let's go further. The features of appropriate capital structure, there are some points mentioned: profitability, solvency, flexibility, conservatism, and control. So let's start all these topics one by one. All these are the features. So first of all, go to number one, that is our profitability. Before deciding the capital structure, the most important point is we have to prioritize our capital sources that could cost us at a very low or minimize the cost of capital, so that we can maximize the profitability in the business concern. So that's on the most of the priority to minimize the cost. Let's go to the next, solvency. Solvency is just the ability to pay someone's debt. For example, organization has already borrowed money from bank and this loan is so high that they cannot repay back. So here organization automatically becomes insolvent, or like they cannot pay this money. So here organization has to think that how can they easily able to pay the money to their creditors, because this ability to pay becomes the solvency of the business. And when organization unable to pay the money, they automatically becomes the insolvent. So the solvency matters a lot in the concern for the businesses for the continuation of their activities. So now let's go to the third point, that is flexibility. So flexibility is another concern for all the organizations, because when there is a need to change in the capital structure, like from equity to debt, or the composition mixture of equity and debt, we have to take a change, then the board of director must be ease in taking that decision. If they can take easily that decision, means the structure is flexible, and flexibility leads to smoothness in the business concern or activities throughout. So the next here is the conservatism. Conservatism means the association between the degree of financial leverage taken by an organization towards their business. What does it mean? I'll take an example here that is so easy to understand. Then I have an extraordinary debt in my organization. I had borrowed from many places, but now I have to change from debt to the equity concern. So this is the decision of leverage, like I have to reduce the debt. And so we can easily take this advantage here, and that easily taking the decisions is actually called as conservatism, without creating any problem into our activities of the businesses. Let's go to the last one, that is control. Measuring the level of capital and powers. If we have more than 51% powers in our organization, means we have total control. So this controlling measure can all easily be taken with the help of control, and capital structure helps in it very easily. And this can easily be concerned with the help of ratio or the composition between all the sources in our capital structure. So now let's move to the last part of this session, that is sources of capital. There are many sources from where we can get money or finance for our businesses. So some of the popular sources, like share capital, that is been even divided into two parts for the equity share capital and preference share capital. Then bonds, that is again a debt type of capital. Debentures, again a debt type of capital. Reserves or retained earnings is a part of our profit that we had taken for future use. Let's move to some other sources like bank loan, that is again also a debt type of capital. Then bank overdraft that we get from our banks. Then sale of assets is also a type of retained earning, we can say. Next is lease financing. This is an advanced type of financing being taken by every organization for their fund needs. Then again there is another advanced level of financing, that is venture capital. So when we have new business and we need guidance, we used to reach at the venture capital office. So we take funds from there, and as well as the guidance. So these is something, the sources of the capital. So till now we had discussed all the basic points that needs to be covered under the capital structure, and further in other videos we will going to consider the how we can make the easiest and the best of the composition of capital structure. So in this we have to go to the theories of capital structure. This is the one of the most important part in capital structure we will going to further take into consideration. Okay, thank you.